To the Springs Radio Real Estate Show. I'm Cheryl Garlock with Colorado Front Range Properties. I am so glad you could go ahead and tune into the show today. Now, if you are thinking about buying in the market here today, buying a home, and you just don't have a clue. You don't know what's going on. You don't know how to do it at all. I got something on my website. I got to tell you, free download. You're going to love it. Okay, so go to Colorado Springs besthomes.com. Lots of fun things to do there besides search for homes. But anyway, go to Colorado Springs besthomes.com and let's see. Oh, you know what? I know what you do. I forgot. I haven't loaded this one up there yet, but I'll tell you what. You can email me. Go to Colorado Springs besthomes.com, hit the contact Cheryl button. Let me email you the booklet called The Home Buying Process Keys to Your Success. Okay, let me tell you really quickly what you're going to get in here there. It's going to be certain key points about what you need to think about before you buy, and where do you start, 7 tips to get your footing in the home buying process. You're going to love this one. You're going to get a checklist. Find the perfect home and balance your wallet at the same time. Things you really need to think about what you need and how it actually translates. Go Colorado Springs, besthomes.com. Click on contact Cheryl there, and I'll go ahead and just email it to you. Ask me to just email you the home buying booklet, and I will get that out to you right away. Now, my guest today is Renee Rawlings with Cornerstone Home Lending. Welcome again to the show, Renee.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I am so glad you are here because, I want to talk to folks about, as we go into the spring market here, lending. Okay, it's really an important topic here, and sometimes one of the biggest things I have with clients who are not always, like you might say, in step with things, they just sometimes dawdle a little bit. They don't get everything in when the lender asks them to get it. They just kind of think, oh, I'll get you that document whenever, I get to it there. Let me tell you, Renee, you can address this. You can't just dawdle around and do that.
No, you can't. You're under contract. You've got dates that you have to meet, and you don't want to ever put your earnest money in jeopardy and not be able to close your loan on time.
And so let me give you guys an example. Here's what I'm really talking about. Because the lender asks you to give them a particular document. Let's say you need a gift letter or something like that as an example, because we get those all the time. And there's a lot of, work that goes into getting a gift money, and transferring that, and you have to have the correct procedure done. Now, you can't just do this sort of like right before the end and when you're about ready to close, because all that document has to be verified by the lender, and the underwriter has to see the entire package. So it's not like you just hand it over, hi, here, see. It doesn't work that way, does it, Renee?
No, it doesn't.
No. So you cannot dawdle. You really have to stay on target, because if you fail to stay on target, you're putting your contract in jeopardy, and you are putting at risk your earnest money, and that means you also might end up losing that property altogether and out to another buyer.
Right.
Not to mention the fact that if you've been renting a place, you gave notice, well, you're in trouble. So, don't dawdle. That's the message. Stay on top of your game. Work with your realtor, work with your lender to stay on top of your game. Now, I mentioned earlier in the show, Renee, I wanted to talk about buying condominiums. Mm-hmm. Let's tell everyone what the difference is between, from a lending standpoint, what the difference is between buying a condominium and a townhome, because you guys have an approval process, or what we call an underwriting process, that's different for those categories. Am I right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, and so when you write a loan, or when you write a loan or a deal for buying a townhome. By the way, guys, the townhome is that structure where you own all the ground below you and you own all the air above you. You don't have anyone really above you or below you.
Common walls is usually what it is.
Yeah, you got the common sidewalls. That's it. Party wall agreements, basically, is where you go with that. But in a condo situation, it's like an apartment. You have people above you, below you, on either side of you, kind of a deal. And you only own the space inside the walls.
Correct.
So they're governed as far as underwriting rules by Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, FHA, VA differently than a townhome, right?
Yes.
And so when you write a deal on a townhome, you can treat that just like they are buying a single family home. Isn't that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So tell us, Renee, how a condominium, some of the different extra steps we have to be aware of in what you have to do as a lender when you're doing a condominium. One of them is making sure the darn project's approved in the first place.
Right. It's so important. And people think that, oh, wow, they're inexpensive. It's something that I can afford. So they're quick to jump on it. The problem is that a lot of investors actually own condominiums, and when you have a lot of investor ownership, it's not considered something that the bank really wants to invest in. It makes it more of a risk.
Right.
So, and the bank doesn't want a risk.
And that's, you guys, here's the reason why that's that way. And it's because investors do, when banks want to loan money to investors, they require more money down. That's just it. Why? Okay, here's the reason why, is because if you own or occupy it, you are more attached to it.
Yes.
You're not going to leave it. They know that from a risk standpoint, everything with the lender and what they do is all associated with risk. So if you own or occupy something, the risk level to the lender is greatly reduced. But if you're an investor, it's a different story.
Correct. Easier to walk away from. No skin in the game as much.
Right. Now, the other thing is that I always try to tell people, whether you're going to own or occupy something or you're going to be an investor, that the lender underwrites not only you, the borrower, you, the buyer, but they also underwrite the property.
That's correct.
So on a condominium, we do what's called, or we don't, the lenders do, it's called a PUD, is that right? Is that what it's called?
It's
a certificate.
It's a condo cert.
It's a condo certificate.
It's to approve the actual condo project.
Okay. And so there are a lot of documentation that goes into that condo cert, right?
There is. The condo cert can be anywhere from 2 to 4 pages.
Yeah.
Depending on what information is needed to be showed.
Absolutely. And so therefore, it's important that the owner occupancy ratio be within bounds. It's important that the delinquency rate on the HOA be within bounds. It's important that they have a fidelity bond. Isn't that right?
Correct.
Okay. And a whole host of other things. The property has to have what we call warrantable title. Was that what I heard from you the other day?
It has to be a warrantable condo.
A warrantable condo.
Right.
Which in a nutshell means that it has to be able to be, what did we say?
Sold to the secondary market.
Sold to the secondary market.
So your Fannie, Freddie.
Right, Fannie and Freddie. Because if it's not a warrantable condo, you got a whole different set of arithmetic.
You actually have a whole different loan altogether.
All together there. And, the other thing about the condos and the inexpensiveness, when you're an investor and you're looking at buying a condo and though they're cheap, you need to remember, very important, ask yourself, is this a property that's going to appreciate in value? Or is it going to be an income producing property only? And the two do not always match up. You know what? You want to know more about that? Give us a call, 719-321-7600. Stay tuned. We got Property Showcase coming your way right now.